What? Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for another edition of the Orns 10-minute take on Watford 2, Derby County 1. And the Golden Boys maintain their 100% record, 4 from 4 in all competitions, and 3 from 3 in the championship in that stretch. And this is the third game of 4 consecutive home games for Watford. Flying colours and the test passed by this Golden Boys side, who actually started very inauspiciously in this contest, yielding a goal within the first 2 minutes. A Derby County goal scored from a slack Watford defence. The ball was allowed to go down the right channel, and there was not tight enough marking, allowing the ball to be crossed in, Georgie spinning away from the ball and allowing the ball to go straight through onto an on-rushing Derby player who shot the ball in from around 10 yards out. And that was 1-0. And the game was so early that you knew that Watford were going to respond. But it took them a while to get going in the first half of this game. And it was after the 22nd minute when things started to hot up for the Hornets as they started to put pressure on to this Derby County side, a newly promoted Derby that I thought and predicted before the game would make life tricky and difficult for Watford. And it turned out that they did just that. But after Watford began to put pressure on after that 22nd minute, Watford began to assert themselves in the game. And then in the 31st minute, a really good cross from Matty Pollock, who was brilliant today, found a brilliant kick, scissor kick volley from Vicarage, the man coming good, scoring his first of the season, opening his account in spectacular style in front of the Vicarage Road end. Terrific stuff from Bayo, who works so hard for this team, really makes himself part of everything this team does, whether it's in defense if he has to, in midfield, whatever he does, and of course up front. Even though he doesn't score, he is a vital part of Watford and has definitely put in the hard yards game after game after game, game in and game out. So I was very pleased that he got his goal today, a very important goal for Watford at that half-hour mark, because it then propelled them. And Derby looked very scattered once Vicarage scored that worldy goal, which will definitely be considered on the roster for goal of the season. Derby looked scared and a little bit nervy after that goal, and it was all one-way traffic for Watford after that. But it's still, some of the passes were astray, but it was in the second half where Watford went back to their shell again after getting to the break at 1-1. Derby opened up with the same kind of purpose they showed in the first couple of minutes of the game. But Derby didn't put anything enough together, despite their dominance in the first 10 minutes. And then by the time we got to the 76th minute, it was all Watford, because it was their key goal scored from that man, Musa Sissoko, that made it 2-1 to Watford. And that was the game. Daniel Batman had to make a save toward the end, as he always seems to do in these games. And he's not really busy in any of these games so far for Watford, but yet he does come up with a very massive save late on in these games to preserve Watford. And he did it yet again in this contest against Derby County. And yes, a very important save late on for Bachmann. But this Watford side has the character and the resilience to keep going with this string of results. Yes, it's early doors. Yes, of course, there's lots more games to play in this long season. But what you've seen so far in this early going is a Watford side with character, a Watford side with pedigree, a Watford side that is determined to get 3 points whenever the opportunity arises. And so far, we've seen that 3 from 3 now in the championship. Watford joint top, albeit second on goal difference behind Sunderland, and looking like they are the genuine article, a long way away from what some Watford fans predicted before this season began. Relegation scraps? Not with this lot, mate. Definitely not with this lot. What you saw today was another team effort. Watford had to be patient, and they were. They got the goals, and the winning goal was the really calm finish from Musa Sissoko in the 76th minute after a ricochet rebound came to him, and he calmly slotted the ball home with enough power to get it past the goalkeeper right in front of the rookery end. Musa Sissoko was the Orns man of the match in this game, and there's no surprise why. His sturdy, steady hand was the key in this game, despite the fact that there were spells where Watford were really having to look at Derby and watch them, a newly promoted side that were troublesome at times. But it was Musa Sissoko's keen intellect and patience with the ball and the way that he would pick up passes, move the ball forward, orchestrate possession, keep things moving, keep the midfield just about on top of things, and engineer the goal that he would score at the later stages of this contest. And also, Matty Pollock is terrific again. Sensational stuff from Pollock, as I've said. And you like the way he's playing these games, really maturing before your very eyes. Musa Sissoko, who signed a 2-year deal, is definitely somebody who has not lost a step at all, being away from Watford for at least 3 seasons now. You wouldn't have known it with the way he's playing. Absolutely brilliant stuff from him. TDB, I thought, had a decent game, not as noticeable today as he was the last 2 games, but he certainly has been a very key part of what Watford do. And James Morris played well today, which was nice to see, as did Sierralta once again. Sierralta's been a rock in that defense as well, an unsung hero in the game. And also today, you've got to give a shout out to Kwadwo Bar. Bar has been spectacular. He makes an absolute difference. He's an electrifier coming off the bench. And I certainly hope that the front office keep him at Watford and do not loan him out again, because he has been a real difference off the bench. And it was him, his presence on the pitch after the substitutions that Cleverley made, that I thought was a key to getting the winning goal. And Tom Cleverley, speaking of which, has subbed absolutely on target the right subs. He has pulled the right plugs and pushed the right buttons in these games so far with his substitutions. They have been spot on, bang on this season. You really like to see that. Cleverly has been very careful and patient. He has been methodical about how he subs. Ken Sema came on, and Ken Sema might not have had a great game today, but one thing Sema did was begin to open up the pathways to get this winning goal for Watford, because Sema pushed down that left side. He had one foray, but that flank was being paid a lot more attention to. And then on the right-hand side where the goal came from, it opened up things. Pollock's cross, well, of course, was Bio in the first half, but that second goal came in from the right side as well, with Sissoko coming in from the right, pouncing on the ball and gliding it into the back of the net. So the substitution may not have worked in the way that you think, but it did set up the goal because it opened up the channels and pushed play all around. And I thought Sema's movement was better, even though he didn't have the best of games. Larouci today, a little bit off the pace for me. Larouci still probably trying to get up to the speed of the game. He was very good last week off the bench, and he was very key off the bench. But today, not so much when he started the game. So maybe he will be suited to the bench again. It will be interesting to see if he starts the next championship game on the 1st of next month, of course, which would be a trip to Bramall Lane against the newly relegated Sheffield United. But as for this game, you saw the passion and commitment that Watford have. This is going to only be a constant confidence booster for this team. They're going to keep going from strength to strength. Look, this gravy train will not run forever, as much as you and I would love it to as Watford supporters. But right now, we've got to enjoy this ride. If you are telling me that you're now joint top on goal difference second, and you've gone 3 for 3 in the championship, and you've found different ways to win, I'd be telling you that we are in for perhaps a very good season, much better than many of the Watford fan base ever thought. But this is the kind of key you need. Teams like Watford, this team that we love, learning how to win in different ways. That is the recipe for something very special this season. And Coach Cleves, King Cleves, seems to have found a winning formula with this Watford side. Up the Golden Boys then, and it's 3 on the bounce for the Orns. It was Watford 2, Derby County 1. This has been the Orns 10-minute take.